it's just an honest conversation
Right.
between two dads trying to get back to the business of taking care of their families.
Right. I'm Akbar Akbar Gbajabiamila, host of American Ninja Warrior and host of The Talk.
I am Jaleel White. I'm an actor-producer. I just don't even care to say what I've been in. I hope you enjoyed some of it. Somewhere around January of 2021 is when I first start hearing of people actually get vaccinated.
Yeah.
At that point, I was not interested in being one of these people.
Yeah.
What about you?
You know what? This is the first time I'm actually really even sharing this story, and I've been very hesitant just because I know it's been so, divisive. So many people have been, they're yelling on this side, they're yelling on the other side. I was late to get vaccinated, and I was very unsure and very untrusting of the medical community. And for me, it goes all the way back to my childhood. Growing up in South Central Los Angeles in Crenshaw, and there's just always been this inherent fear and distrust. And I think if I'm honest, I think a lot of that goes back to, you think about the Tuskegee Airmen.
Yep.
And most people hear
Tuskegee
the Tuskegee
experiment.
Airmen and they kind of write it off. But many people don't remember that was an experiment that lasted for 40 years, from 1932 to 1972. And to brush that over and to say that happened a long time ago, that's stuck. And then you look at, the inner city, and you look at the type of health crisis that are happening inside of these, inside of the inner cities. And he's like, hold on, how do you let a inner city or a group of people like this suffer medically like this? Lack of access. Those types of things remind our community that they don't care about us. You fast forward now to 2020, 2021. We're in the middle of a pandemic, and vaccination starts popping up. That word alone is a trigger. And so I was kind of late, and I remember I didn't really pull the trigger until after the FDA approved it. But it was a conversation, though, that with my father that kind of changed my thinking. He was just essentially said, in his Nigerian accent, and just, I don't know what you guys are, all worked up about. When I came to this country, I had to get all these shots before I entered into this country. Wasn't a big deal. And now, there's this whole, hoopla about getting vaccinated. And it did something to me, because he wasn't like, my dad wasn't sitting there preaching to me. He was like, what is going on? What is all this nonsense going on? And I thought about it, and I started thinking about my love for travel. I've done 40 countries in my life. I love to travel. And I thought, man, of all the countries I've been to, there are certain times where I had to get vaccinated before I could enter into the country.
When I went to Africa, I had to get 2 shots.
Right.
And I'm gonna keep it real. I don't know what was in the syringe.
Right.
They just told me I had to get it, otherwise I couldn't go to South Africa.
Once the FDA approved it, I went ahead and did it. And I'll say this too, because I was still unsure on the inside. I cried after my first shot. I just literally just started bawling. I was crying. Day goes on, and so, oh man, you might get some symptoms afterward. I wake up, and it was like, oh shoot, maybe it'll be the second day, because I'm bigger. It'll be the second day something will happen. Second day happened. Something happened. Nothing happened. What about you?
I had the same.
Did you cry?
No, I did not cry when I got my shot.
Keep it
I ain't
100.
crying.
Did you cry?
See, I had the kind of daddy that used to tell me, if you cut up in here, that's a black phrase. If you cut up in here, it's gonna be worse when we get home. So my pain tolerance actually really goes through the roof when I'm in a medical facility. My arm was sore.
Yeah.
And it was really sore too.
My arm wasn't sore, but I had more muscles than you.
Yes, you do. Yes, you do. That's nice. That's kind of you to point that out on camera. Each person is going to be affected differently, and I think that also can concern people. That it's like, well, wait a minute, how come all of the effects aren't consistent?
Right.
And it's like, that's
Because we aren't all the same people.
We aren't all the same people. It became obvious to me, if we don't all do the same of one thing, then we won't be able to convene together like normal again.
For me personally, I had to come to the conclusion that this was the right thing for me to do. A, because of my work environment.
Bingo.
B, because that conversation that I had with my father, which was very impactful, and just the way he said it and how soft he wasn't trying to convert me, because that was not his goal. We were just having a conversation. And then I think the last part for me was, and this was fast forwarded, being able to go over to the Olympics and be a part of the broadcast team. And there's something very impactful to see an entire different country going through the same exact thing.
Dog.
Because it gets you out of your bubble, right?
So again.
Yeah, because you can make it a black and white political, left, right. And when you're like, hold on, like I'm in Japan.
Yeah, dog.
This is a totally different country. This ain't the blue, the red, left or right, none of that.
I've been fortunate enough to travel. Mm-hmm. And you, just like you said, you had to travel for work, and you went to Japan. And I think one of the things sometimes people forget about the difference between America and other countries is that when you're a single countryman, sometimes they tend to react to things with a little more uniformity because they are one people. Mm-hmm. We are a quilt. So we have a lot of little communities, a lot of different, opinions, and just a lot of different cultural norms. To balance here. But when you reminded me that this thing is global, I hope that when people see us just even having this conversation, that it's just an honest conversation between two dads trying to get back to the business of taking care of their families, restoring the workplace. That's a huge one. We pretty much knew when I did my first movie in August, I was like, it was a foregone conclusion. We're not going to be able to convene on sets again unless this group of people decide that we're going to get vaccinated. Right. And that's the way it was for our community. And it's going to be different for each community. Man, that's a good combo, dog.
Yeah, man.
Can't wait to see you again.
Yeah. Same here, man.
We're going to see what those basketball skills are still doing.
All right, we'll see, man. I tell you one thing. I got them boosties. Watch out, man. I'll mess around and dunk on you. Good time, man. Good time. This is real good.
Absolutely.
This is real good.